Welcome to a Legendarium special that will seek to answer a particular question. Did medieval people see ships in the sky? In this episode, we will discuss a number of extraordinary tales recorded by medieval chroniclers. An 8th century stone pillar near Kilnarone Monastery in Ireland depicts something strange, namely an Irish curragh or skin boat being rowed towards the heavens. The sea-connected church in Ireland attached particular importance to ships, and curiously, a medieval belief in magical ships existed alongside the reality of slow, cumbersome boats that could barely leave the shore. Nonetheless, stories of ships sailing in the sky are told throughout medieval Europe from the 8th century to the 13th. Some sightings of sky-sailing ships even occurred as late as the 18th century in Canada. The first such recorded sighting took place around AD 820. Archbishop Agobard of Lyon described beings who fell to earth in his book De Grandine et Tonitruis, which translates to about hail and thunder. This work actually sought to debunk popular superstitions about the weather. The archbishop wrote that people in his time believed in a realm called Magonia, from which ships come in the clouds to steal crops. The Magonia sky sailors could supposedly strike deals with human wizards called storm makers to carry out their theft of crops and livestock. Agobard called such beliefs foolishness and the people who followed them mad. Nevertheless, some locals claim to have captured 4 beings, 3 men and a woman, who supposedly came from one of the Magonian ships. They kept the captives in chains for some days and finally brought them to Archbishop Agobard. Being more reasonable, Agobard pronounced them innocent and ordered them released. Today, the term Magonia is popular among UFO fans, and a collection of UFO sightings online is called appropriately the Magonia Database. Yet fantastic tales of the sea and sailors did not only extend to imagined seas in the air, but fantastic tales of the one which lay closer to land. Ralph of Coggeshall, the French-speaking abbot of an abbey in Essex, tells the story of some English fishermen from Suffolk. One day in 1161 they caught a naked wild man in their nets near the village of Orford. The Myrrh Man, as they called it, had a long shaggy beard and a hairy chest, though a piebald head. The fishermen hauled the creature off to Orford Castle, where Bartholomew de Glanville served as governor. De Glanville threw the merman into the dungeon and tortured him to make him speak. With no words forthcoming, the locals could not decide if he was a fish or a man, or if he belonged on land or in the sea. Some wondered if he might be an evil spirit in the body of a drowned sailor. The merman displayed no belief in God nor knowledge of Christian rituals. He ate whatever his captors gave him, but he would squeeze the juice out of a raw fish first before eating it. After a while, his captors decided to let him out to sea for exercise, but not before fencing him in with nets. Despite their precautions, the merman supposedly broke through the nets and escaped, amazing the onlookers with his agility in the water. The creature did briefly return to his captors, but escaped again after 2 months, never to be seen again. For the next story, we are indebted to the English chronicler Gervais of Tilbury and his work Otia Imperiala. It shows that the medieval belief in a world above earth persisted well into the High Middle Ages. Writing around 1212 for his patron, the Holy Roman Emperor Otto IV, he declared his belief that the sea is higher than the land, and that it lay above our habitation, either in or on the air. This notion was based on Genesis 1, which speaks of waters above the firmament. To further prove this, Gervais offered an episode that supposedly took place in an English village. One overcast Sunday, as the villagers left church, they saw an anchor hooked to a tombstone. It attached to a rope stretched taut upwards into the cloudy skies. To their astonishment, the rope began to move as if someone tried to pry the anchor away from the tombstone. The anchor would not budge, and sounds like sailors shouting came from above. A man began to descend the rope, and the villagers took hold of him, at which point he died, apparently suffocated by the humidity of our dense air as if he drowned at sea. After an hour, the rope was cut from above, and the sailors sailed away. A fourth tale concerns a merchant who accidentally dropped his knife while out at sea. At the same hour, the very same knife suddenly fell through an open window of his house in Bristol, dropping onto the table in front of his startled wife. What could really lie behind these extraordinary tales? Could these be nothing more than tall tales reported by credulous chroniclers? Might they be the imaginings of people who rarely, if ever, ventured beyond their home village? As might be expected, such accounts are interpreted by UFO theorists today to be stories of encounters with alien civilizations. This is also a reminder that, just as today, medieval people created fantastic thought worlds, and when you consider the attachment people still have today to tarot cards and astrology, perhaps things haven't changed so much. That wraps things up for this episode of The Legendarium. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, press like. If you want to see more, press subscribe. And if you've got anything to say, let me know in the comments section. Thanks again for joining me, and I hope that you have a great rest of the day.